Crouch. Bind. Set.
Joe presents the House of Rugby, together with Guinness.
Hello and welcome to the latest edition of House of Rugby, brought to you by Joe, together with our very good friends at Guinness. My name is Alex Payne, and it's a great pleasure to have alongside once again Rob Vickerman. How are you?
Very good, thank you, sir.
Looking a little tanned, actually. If I'm
I'll take the tan. I also feel less posh at the moment here. So,
do you? Yeah.
I've been
Some
out
good
with
lift
the
on my
chinos.
hair today, though.
Thanks, mate.
Very good.
I'll
lift.
take the hair
I'm
chat
very
from our
jealous
good
of
friend
that.
here.
Yeah,
It's a very warm welcome to the weathered tennis ball himself.
Thank you, yes.
Oliver Phillips.
Yeah.
How are you? You've been left out on court for... You're one of those
For a
ones that
long
gets
time.
found down at the back with a little bit of moss growing on it.
Yeah, that's one of the most complimentary nicknames I've had.
Actually, you gave it to me.
Yeah,
So.
I did, yeah.
How's you? You've arrived in a very tang-fastic pair of mauve chinos.
Yeah, they are.
They're
They're
light
festive.
blue jumper and white shirt combination pack.
Yeah, well, I thought I'd, fit in with you for once, actually.
Very good.
Today.
I've gone dark blue today.
Yeah, you've really let me
How
down,
is
actually.
you?
I'm wonderful, thanks.
Yeah.
Very good. I'm very excited about the arrival of my second child in 4 weeks' time. So just to
That is
make me even more
exciting.
weathered and aged.
You
But
are.
yeah.
You are. You're waiting on the finish line, and for the rest of us to catch up with
Exactly,
you.
yeah, waving,
Benjamin
beckoning
Button.
you in.
It's very, very nice to have you on, and obviously we've got a whiff of a special Sevens vibe to this week's show. We've got the World Sevens Series beginning on Thursday in Dubai. All eyes on Dubai, and you two obviously very much reflect that. We've got two former England Sevens captain and a World Sevens Player of the Year.
Fluked that one, didn't I? Yeah.
Well, you've had that was a stormy year that you had. We've got lots to talk about. Should we just quickly check in on the jungle? I actually kind of love him even more. Is that acceptable to say that?
Yeah, no, complete. Anybody that knows Haskell and knows a little bit about the rugby fraternity, that type of thing, they'll come off this going, actually, Haskell's done really well there. For the wider public, there is a lot of noise and a lot of, I'd probably go as far as saying detest for Hask at the moment. And I'm not sure why. Well, I do know why, because I've read it. But coming out with things like saying, I just can't stand the stupidity of some people, it's making me implode, doesn't really bode too well with
We've got to love that. I mean,
we are building a whole range of merchandise, a jungle special merchandise out in time for Christmas.
Yeah.
You've obviously lived with him, haven't you? Are we seeing...
I can't believe
his true colours.
I can't believe how long he's kept to stop on for, to be honest.
Yeah. Oh, he's on and off.
Yeah,
He's quite
shower
quick to that.
he really laps up the shower moment. But yeah, I mean,
Place his strengths, Els.
yeah, of course. When your nickname's the prawn, like mine is, you've got it at all times. But no, I mean, I am an avid fan of him. I know what he's like to live with, and I'm actually impressed at how sort of calm he's been in there, because he can be sort of volatile on occasion and slightly outspoken, as most people know.
You reckon?
Yeah. Well, he's a bit Marmite, isn't he? I mean, you either love him or hate him. But I mean, I hope the British public love him, because he's obviously an amazing character. He cracks me up every single time I'm with him. But
you're depriving him of food, which is that's hard to make him hungry.
yeah, that's critical for him. Yeah, he does need food at all times.
If you actually stand back and look at what I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here is, it is a show where you send people into the jungle for 3 weeks. You don't feed them. You don't let them sleep. You cover them in all sorts of unpleasantries. It is modern day bear baiting. We are basically in there to see who snaps first, and yet there's uproar when someone snaps momentarily.
The biggest bear is about to
bear is about to roar.
Yeah.
But he's done 2 weeks of supporting, cajoling, keeping people's peckers up, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, silly.
And then he's got cross about one thing, and everyone's... The real James Haskell has come out. Well, what about the real James Haskell being the 2 weeks of goodness, niceness and pleasantries?
Well, I'm hoping you can give us a bit of insight as to the real James Haskell, having lived with him. But the other thing we've got to say is, and this is out and out standing up for him, they're taking 24 hours of footage, albeit they're sleeping for like 9-10 hours of it, and putting it into an hour and a half show, or an hour with adverts. So you look for an editorial, Hask getting slightly angry, it fits the bill, and they've ran with it. And Chloe's there defending her man.
Good on
to
her.
the high
Yeah,
hill.
she is.
So we should do the same.
She's vocal out there, isn't she, at the moment, Chloe?
She is.
Yeah, very, very
Keep
vocal.
him in the jungle. He's boxed. I like the fact that the comedian, Andrew, came out and said, A, Hask has kept us all afloat, and B, he's the one that should win. So if that's what they're saying inside the camp...
He backed him up, yeah.
Let's go with him. Yeah. How on earth did you end up living... Did you know Hask before you went to Stade and ended up living with him?
I did know him, because I played against him.
It's quite a blind date, that, isn't it?
Yeah, it was, yeah. Scylla turned up and sorted us out. No, we're both had signed for Stade. I think we'd both done it quite late. I can't remember. And either way, we'd seen each other and met each other because he'd turned up. He was in the 7 squad for a bit.
Yeah.
And he was always good value, even when he turned up then. So I'd got on well with him, and we'd sort of loosely stayed in touch. And whenever we played Wasps or whatever, we catch up at the end of the game briefly. He'd tell me about how well he played, and then then we'd leave on the bus home. And then I dropped him a note saying, mate, we're both signing. What are you doing living-wise? Think it'd be quite a good crack. And he was like, oh, well, I haven't found a place, but I've sent his mum and dad over to have a look. And he said, look, why don't you live? Come live with me. I turned up and saw this place that we needed for Chateau Haskell.
Right.
And it was a 4-bedroom house.
Right.
Literally, we were 3-minute walk off the Champs-Elysees.
Wow.
I was like, with a garden and everything else. I was like, Haskell, A, what bunts are Paris paying you?
Yeah.
Because I need to go renegotiate my contract here. And 2, this is totally unnecessary, but 100% primo. We have to. This is where we're living. 2 single lads living in Paris. Both of us with faces only a mother could love.
Yeah.
This is leverage. This is what we need. So we dove into that for 2.5 years, and it was just the best experience ever.
Was it really?
Yeah.
How did your signing with Stade come about? Because you were...
I was on tour with him.
Right.
So we...
Nick Drake.
Yeah, well, it wasn't... He was the one that finished it all off, but I was... It all started, we did Dubai, and I dislocated my elbow against Dubai, but we had quite a good tournament in England. We were rubbish the year before we came back that year. And Ewan Mackenzie rang me, and I was at a charity rugby match for my old university, Durham University.
Yeah.
My phone rang, and it was this Australian bloke, and he was like, "G'day, Ollie, it's Ewan Mackenzie here." And I was like, and Jeff Parling had been doing all these stitch-ups during the week on the lads, pretending he was John Wells.
Right.
So he rang Danny Hipkiss and told him that he was John Wells and he was being picked in the England squad. And Danny Hipkiss believed him and everything else like that. And it turned out he didn't get named in the squad. So I thought, okay, this is Jeff, 100%. So it was like, oh, this is you, Mackenzie. I was like, of course it is, mate. See you later. Put the phone down. And then afterwards, I was thinking, oh shit, maybe that was you, Mackenzie. Like, don't know if it was, it wasn't.
Yeah.
We went away then. I had like a race for fitness to get back. We went away to Wellington. And we won in Wellington, first time England had beaten New Zealand in the final and this sort of jazz. And at the end of it, you were dressed up as Duff Beer Man, weren't you? Duff.
Hard to say.
I can't remember what you got. We were out in the middle of town. He'd convinced someone who was in fancy dress to swap complete clothing with him. So he was end up as, you were Duff Beer, weren't you?
Duff Man.
Duff Man. And my phone rang like 2 a.m. and he was like, Ollie, this is Ewan Mackenzie. And I was like, okay, maybe this is Ewan Mackenzie now. He's like, look, we've been seeing how you've been playing. We thought you were like really good in that tournament. And bizarrely, that was probably the best tournament I'd had in ages in Wellington.
Do you score the winner? You went the length for one, didn't you?
I went the length, but I'd had a shocker building up to that as well. I missed, I played touch up until that point.
Right.
New Zealand weren't up for playing ball, but they went 17-0 up at one point.
Yes, I remember that.
And anyway, he said that Max really wants to meet you. We want to sign you for Paris, for Stade. Could you come over and meet Max when you get back from? We went from, where did we go from Wellington? Did we go to Australia? I can't remember where we went. Anyway, San Diego. So when you get back from San Diego, would you come? I was like, okay, I'll come out and meet Max and whatever else. And we had World Cup camp as well coming up for Dubai. So there was literally one day that I could do it. So I just hopped on a train. I felt like so Parisian, so Stade at the time. Like bear in mind, as some little tyke who had 4 people turn up for every game at Newcastle. So hopped on a train from London because we were at the Lensbury training. Went straight out to Paris, sat down for lunch with Max. And everyone had just told me, look, if basically Max fancies you, you're in. And if he doesn't,
this is Max Guazzini, the owner.
Max Guazzini, yeah. If Max fancies you, you're in. If Max doesn't, you're out. And I was thinking, well, he's never going to fancy me. I mean, what the hell's going to go on here?
Yeah.
Benjamin Button. But anyway, had lunch. And I remember now, because I can speak French now, but I remember thinking back then, I was trying desperately to show Max that I was really into French culture and I wanted to be in French. So I was trying to speak French. And my French was horrific.
Trickle 4B from school.
Yeah, I just went, je m'appelle, j'habite, and all this sort of rubbish. Yeah, exactly. That sort of early learning centre French from me. And at the end of it, I thought, I've blown this, totally ruined it. And then Max rang me 2 weeks later and said, Mon chéri, I can't wait to see you in pink next year. This is my calling.
How incredible.
My calling.
It's true you said about you actually write down what you think you want as a contract and present it to them. It's just his yes or no, like the old Roman thumb.
Yeah.
Is that
I
right?
had to in Hong Kong do that. So when we were in Hong Kong, I had to write in what I thought my value should be. And judging by what Haskell wrote in, I've totally cocked that one up.
Yeah. Did you ever compare notes on zeros?
There was I lining up my sort of shoebox just off the shores, just off the shore on the Borneo, miles away from Paris city centre, and Haskell was in a 4-bed house. But yeah, it was epic. Everything, the whole thing, the whole experience from start to end was epic.
You were 10 years too early. I remember watching this as someone that knew you well. And you and Hask, bearing in mind this was 2009.
Yeah.
So what, YouTube had only been really around 2 or 3 years. Twitter was coming through. Facebook was just starting at universities. You guys had your own channels. You had your own videos and
well, that was Hask. But yes, Hask
TV.
So Hask decided that we were going to create these sort of weekly docu-series. Sacha Baron Cohen at the time had his character, which was Brunel. Was it Bruno? Bruno. So Hask wanted to be Brunel. Right?
I see what you've done. Yeah.
So Hask decided he was going to be Brunel, this artistic gay hairdresser, and he was going to dye my hair. This was going to be our first one. This was our first video. So I was like, okay, play ball. So anyway, Hask puts all this dye in my hair, buys a French dye, doesn't read any labels. It's meant to be in your hair for 5 minutes. He leaves it in mine for 15 minutes. We wash it out.
Has he killed it all? Is that why you're silver as a fox? There was never a regrowth again.
There wasn't much left. There wasn't much there anyway to dye.
Right.
So the reality was it actually dyed my scalp. So when he washed it out, I looked like Mikhail Gorbachev.
Light bulb.
I looked like Gorbachev. He called me Gorbachev because I had like little brown patches all coming across the front, but no hair. Just these little patches where I also had like thin bits of hair or something like that. So he was absolute hysterics about that. And then he made me dress up as like in my full Stade kit, as if I wanted to always play for Stade Francais. So it was just all these ridiculous things that we used to have to do, little videos we used to make. But yeah, he's always been ahead of the curve on
the
sort
original
of social
Paul
media.
brothers, weren't it?
Yeah. We did one in the Carrefour in France where he made me stand next to. They had the mountain of all the loo rolls all stacked up, and so he wanted to do supermarket sweep.
Right.
So one of them was he lined up the video. I was sort of pretending to pick something out of the shelves. He ran, just smashed me into all the loo rolls so that this whole stack like fell all over the floor. And then he put me on the crane, the little crane, the forklift track thing. So I had to stand in. There was this old lady next to me, and I stood on the crane pretending to get some milk. And as I picked it, he hit the crane button, and I went through the roof of the supermarket. So, I mean, this creative genius of the man.
Putting the ass in Jackass.
Yeah. The creative genius of the man is knows no ends.
From the creative genius that is James Haskell, why rugby? When rugby?
Me?
Yeah. Where did you start with it all?
I was pathetic at football. Right. And I think I was just a boisterous kid at the age of like 4 or 5.
It's good to see you've got rid of that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And my dad and mum, I think, just said, look, we're fed up of you beating your little brother up. You're going to go play rugby. And so I joined Hove Mini Rugby Club right on the south coast. Great. Theatre of dreams. I mean, I had 2 left feet, so I couldn't play football.
Right.
I mean, I did try and play football for like a year. And they put me in goal, so you always know. You always know.
Yes.
You always know when you're terrible at football. They go, right, yeah, great, loved having the squad. You're in goal.
Yeah.
I think my first game I played, I let 9 in. We lost 9-2.
Right.
Yeah. So my moments in goal were not going to be.
Yeah. 2 left feet. And
Exactly. Yeah. So rugby was definitely for me, and that's sort of where it began. From there, school, Brighton College, and then Durham University, and then I was at Quins for a bit. Messed up all my levels, so went to Durham, and
you found your brogues in Durham, didn't you?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, these trousers, these delightful
strong strides.
Yeah, these strong strides.
Yes. Give a little to send camera.
Just to appreciate these.
It's a deep mauve.
Burgundy.
Is that right?
Burgundy trousers. Yeah, they were very in vogue, along with a pair of boat shoes in Durham. Yeah.
Strong look.
Very strong. Boat shoes, and probably like a moth-eaten T-shirt, just to really complement the look.
Always very welcome in burgundy strides and a boat shoe.
On this.
Rob, you've got a bit of work to do on that front.
He's been out felling trees all day.
Yeah. And am I right saying your old man was quite a keen player? Did he chuck you in because he knew it, loved it?
No, I don't think. It was and he wasn't. All I can remember once was seeing my old man play.
Yeah.
And that was for Hove, and we went down to watch him play against Lewis. I mean, he wasn't professional like that, but and he had his ear ripped off in the middle of the ruck. So someone they accidentally stood on the side of his head on the floor when you're allowed to sort of ruck people out back in the day.
The old back tread. And his ear came off.
And his ear was sort of like half hanging off. I remember thinking, I don't know why that inspired me to go and play, but
right. You were a confused little child.
That's the only memory I have of him playing rugby.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Did he kind of follow your career and?
No, he had absolutely no interest in my career.
Really?
Whatsoever, yeah. So one downfall. I never forget. I got picked for England. First tour was Dubai.
Yeah.
2004, and we won. Beat Fiji in the final. And I rang him and said, "Dad, I've been picked for England. Like I'm going away." Mike Friday was my coach at the time. I said, I was 20.
Yeah.
Dad, I've been picked. I'm going away with England and all the rest of it. And he said, "When are you going to get a proper job?" That was his first words. So I was like, oh, okay, right.
But that's in some ways a motivational, but of the old school variety.
Yeah. The only time he's massively applauded it was I won that World Player of the Year award.
Yeah.
I got the trophy we're in Edinburgh when I got it, and went back home, showed it to my dad, and he took it off me, and I've never seen it since.
Really?
It sits on his mantelpiece in his house. He polishes it sort of every month.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Nice
The sort of irony of that, of the contrast.
And how did you go from Quins to Newcastle? How was that
Well, I just totally messed up my A levels.
Yeah.
Basically, I was predicted AAB.
Yeah.
And I was meant to go read economic history with economics.
Economic history with economics.
Yep.
That's a cream souffle with extra cream.
At the London School of Economics is where I was meant to go.
Right.
Yeah, so I would have been a really charismatic
Where
chap.
would you be now?
Yeah, where would I be now? And I basically ended up with BBD.
Right.
So
is there a reason for that?
Well, I just discovered my true love of rugby, because it was sort of becoming potentially an option to play like England or whatever else.
Yeah.
And then obviously women, that was the other discovery. Well, just girls.
Cad, not girls. Cad.
Yeah, the girls that actually talked to me was a starter for 10. So that happened at right at the wrong age, 17, 18.
Right.
Luckily, Durham said, "Oh, well, you're all right at rugby, so maybe we'll take you in." So I went in through clearing into a course up there, and then from there, best experience ever. 3 years, collegiate university, incredible. I love the people from the Northeast, and then Newcastle Falcons came in after about a year.
Really?
Although I had a bit of a cock up with that one. I got told by Quins that I should go to Newcastle for training. So I was like, all right, I'll go up to Newcastle, go to training, whatever. So I turned up for under 21 training, and a guy, his name was the Moth. Stu McKinnon was the head coach of the under 21s, and he'd seen me at the end of a Durham game and said, "Oh yeah, we should get you along for a training session at one time." I took that as, oh, he's invited me to training. So Ben Woods, who's ex-Leicester Newcastle player, was going up because he was already in the 21s. I was like, "Look, the Moth told me to come. I should be at training on." It was 6 a.m. on a Wednesday morning or something like that for the under 21s.
Yeah.
So there I was. I rocked up to training for the under 21s. In fact, I just invited myself to training.
Strong.
So the Moth was like, "What are you doing here?" And I was like, "Well, you told me to come." And he's like, "No, I didn't." And it was one of those awkward moments. I was like, oh, "Okay,
Can I have a cup of coffee and watch?" Or did you leave?
Should I just go home? And he said, "Well, you might as well stay." And stayed. And it turned out someone got injured in training that game. Was a winger. So they said, "Oh, do you want to play on the wing?" I was officially a centre at that point in time. I said, "Yeah, I'll have a run on the wing." And I scored a hat trick. And then that was it. He kept me in.
That is unbelievable.
That was it. It kept me in, yeah. And from there, Rob Andrews said, I scored 3 hat tricks in a row, last 3 games of the season, of the 21 season. And he said, "Actually, you're going to come up straight up to the first team squad." And I went to Glasgow away and scored on debut, yeah.
All by inviting yourself to training.
All by inviting myself.
There is a lesson for us all.
Story.
All by inviting yourself to training, to Newcastle Falcons training.
You are the most fortuitous person, the most gregarious person on the planet for stuff like that. You missed the Fiji story. Your first international game.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Was
you're
for
right.
Fiji.
Yeah, it was for Fiji. Yeah.
What?
17. Yeah. So when they travel on tour, when you come over to London, obviously New Zealand, Fiji's miles away, so they have a 17th team.
Yeah.
If they get loads and loads of injuries, then they pick from that 17th team because they can't fly anyone over at last minute. So I was in the 17th team, and I was 17 at the time, and Fiji were down to 8 people in their squad, so they called on the 17th team, and they went to me, and they were playing New Zealand at the time. Lomu was in the New Zealand squad.
Kidding
I swear on
me.
my life, this is a true story. And I got called into the Fiji squad, and they didn't have any kit left, so they gave me whatever kit they had left, and it was literally a triple XL top. I mean, it looked like a tent on me, and a pair of shorts.
With your dyed blonde hair at the time.
Yeah, and I had dyed blonde hair. And it was, honestly, they must have where's this Fijian lad come from?
Ollie Phillips, Arachanuduvi.
And anyway, I can't remember who it was that went down, but somebody went down from Fiji. They were to their last 7, and then another one went down. So I was the only person physically left in the Fiji squad. So I rolled onto the pitch for the last 2 minutes of the game.
Like a drag racer with one of sort of parachutes out the back.
The back. Like, who's this kid? Is there actually someone in that shirt?
Yeah.
We can't see him underneath all the material. I rolled on, and I was stood opposite Jonah. It was one of my favourite moments of my rugby career. I was stood opposite Jonah Lomu, and all I remember thinking is, shit, don't give him the ball. Please don't give him the ball.
Yeah.
Don't give him the ball. Anyway, they had a scrum. Sure enough, it went to Jonah.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, he's just going to run straight over me. I'm dead here. I'm dead. And I think, obviously, he recognised that there was some snotty little-nosed kid in blonde hair.
Won a competition to be there.
And he just ran straight back into the forwards. And I was like, you hero.
You chased off Jonah.
Scared me.
Intimidated
Don't
by
let
me.
anyone tell you
Maybe he's
otherwise.
intimidated by my blonde hair. I don't know. But
How extraordinary.
yeah, so I was officially first ever capped for Fiji.
Is that on your CV?
No.
Should be.
Should have done
It's
it,
a long CV. mate.
Yeah,
it
It's
is.
a long CV.
You are one of the busiest people
Am I?
I know in terms of. I mean, that's you back that up.
Oh,
Just into your
100%.
ability to, because
North.
we haven't even got to sailing the 7 seas and your
That was
mountain
just to
club.
get here.
That was just to get here.
That was just
Exactly.
to come see you, Payne.
There's so much to talk about. I'm conscious we've sort of ripped through quite a bit already. How do you reflect on your rugby career? Because I want to get onto all the other stuff that you've been doing. But how do you look back at your rugby career now?
Yeah, I loved it. There's always things you wish you'd done, but
Yeah.
I loved it. It was amazing. Vic's will attest to that. It was being part of the 7th Circuit, going around the world. I must admit, it got to a point when I was at Newcastle where I thought, oh God, this is about to run its course.
Yeah.
When I was sort of 24, 25. And luckily we had this bumper year in 08, 09
Yeah.
with England.
Should you have won the series that year?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we won more tournaments. We won 2 tournaments. We won in Wellington and London. We finished 2 finals, didn't we?
Yeah, we tanked in Edinburgh.
Well, we just tanked it. We blew it in the last. And the other thing that screwed us was that it was the only year that they didn't do in Hong Kong where you went into like a plate.
Yeah.
So if you lost in the quarterfinals, you went into a plate so you could get more points.
Yeah.
So we lost in the quarters to Fiji. South Africa went on to win it.
It was double points.
And you got double points for that tournament. So we basically got like quarter-final points only. South Africa went on to win it and got double points. And they ran away. We cocked it up then in Edinburgh. We could have still won it. But anyway, I had this bumpy year. And luckily from that, Stade came in.
Yeah.
And the Ewan Mackenzie gag, Max and then whatever else, and then Gloucester.
On the pitch was one thing with you, which is fine. I'm sure we'll get onto that. But off it, right, just to show a snapshot of Ollie Phillips and his networking ability.
Yeah.
Right, we went to Dubai in our first ever tournament, 2008. A lot of us on the 7 Series for the first time properly.
Yeah.
That's great, wasn't it?
And he organised somehow to get picked up by a stretched Hummer outside the hotel, to then drive us to the yacht, the Dubai Yacht Club.
Yep.
Get on this yacht and circumnavigate the QE2 on the last ever voyage of the QE2 with the Prince's yacht and a massive frigate there as well, and the first ever voyage of the A380. And you're just thinking,
I didn't line all that up, but
That's a hell of a fly, mate.
I did line up the A380.
oh, you look like that. So, but then this was all under the radar. No one knew anything of it. Best day ever, until we found out that the journalists that were on the boat took a picture of us jumping off the 3rd floor of this yacht. Ben Ryan sitting down at breakfast the next morning, flips the paper into the back of it, and there's 5 of us there jumping off the top of it.
I was journalist on it, but yeah.
Right, undercover.
Incredible scenes, but that typifies it. And then in Wellington as well.
Wellington was the best.
Incredible. For some reason, again, Ollie going outside the box, thinking about what he could do in and around the events. Got in touch with the Harley Davidson Club.
Oh, yeah?
So 100 of these Harley Davidsons rocked up outside a hotel, backfiring. I mean, imagine the noise of that.
Yeah.
We all go out, and it was absolutely pissed it down, standard New Zealand. And we had these England waterproofs on, with England emblazoned on the back of it. Driving down the main street of Wellington, backfiring these Harleys, the 200-kilometre tour. I mean, it's just...
Setting off all the car alarms because the noise was so loud that every car alarm was going off as we were going down the road. And I remember thinking, God,
they hate it.
They hate us, really.
Brits
God,
on
they
tour.
hate us, yeah.
I just want to quickly talk about, having done both, the difference between 7s and 15s. And just in terms, I mean, both of you, they call it the death zone, don't they? I mean, what is it like when you go to the sort of the dark places on a sevens pitch in training and.
I mean, it's called the death zone. 'Cause it's not a very pleasant place.
Yeah,
but
I can pick that up. But
I mean, it's still epic. I don't know. It's one of those.
Is sevens harder physically than 15s?
Physically, yeah, different. Like heart rate wise, yeah, definitely. Like physically, no, 'cause you just get more beaten up. I think in 15s, you just more people piling on top of you. I loved both elements of the game. And I loved the fact I was really fortunate with Stade. We got to European Challenge Cup final, or whatever. So played in like big games and whatever else. So I loved, I guess, a big match environment. I played in that Ulster game. You remember where Dupuis and David Atub got the eye gouge?
Oh yes.
Like obviously it wasn't a career highlight in terms of that moment, but the actual hostility and the environment at Ravenhill was epic as part of a Heineken Cup. So that was amazing. But then just going around the world, playing on the 7 Series, chasing the sun, playing at packed stadiums with like 12 of your best mates. Yeah, it was amazing. And as the small price to pay was okay. Your lungs need to bleed for a little bit, just to get through this. And to be honest, everyone thought I was the little granddad. They thought he couldn't do anything, so I just stood in the middle, and people like the Norse did all the hard work. Yeah. So
a tricky question, but I'm going to ask anyway. Where does he rank if you were to list out England's greatest sevens players? Ben Gollings,
right down the bottom.
Where would he? Not many of them have lifted the World Sevens Player of the Year.
I'd put him ahead of Gollings.
Right.
And I've got a lot of time and respect for Benny when he played, but Ollie's ability just to have those really pivotal moments in games where everybody was in that point of no return, your heart rate's at about 195, you're down in the doldrums, and he just came out with it. That year, you had 2 or 3 games specifically where everything clicked, and it was a big moment. So whenever you look back at highlights of games, it was always Ollie and his terrible beard that would feature on it.
Yeah. Craig David was
so
really
bad.
It was quite well trimmed for a while, wasn't it?
Well, I've got several double chins.
Several double chins.
Better. And so
we had
to fabricate my jawline by drawing it in. But Vic, you're right. One of my favourite. I didn't even score. Like one of my favourite rugby moments was him scoring. And we were playing Australia at Twickenham. Yeah. Do you remember it, Oz? And I broke down the left-hand side, turned, and I've obviously got a bit of a Toblerone boot, but I managed to kick this cross-field kick. I saw Vic's on the opposite side of the field, and I kicked it, and it was, when you just hit something, and it hits your foot. Yeah. It's perfect. I mean, sweet as you like. Yeah. And it dropped about 5 yards in front of him, bounce. Vic's just chased and just fell over the line with it, and I was like, this is... Australia were being billed as like this big side that we had to beat, and we stuffed them.
Actually knocked it off, but it's a good story.
Yeah, he scored it, but he didn't knock it. I think there was definitely
a chance to blank.
If they'd gone to the old TMO, it was definitely.
I got it down, sir. I got it down.
Yeah. And they gave it.
Yeah, they gave it. Yeah,
lucky.
They did give it.
Take them when they come. Lots more to talk about.
Okay, right.
Lots more to talk about. We're going to pause just for a moment, though. Just to remind everyone you're watching and listening to House of Rugby, brought to you by Joe, together with our good friends at Guinness, with me, Alex Payne, alongside Rob Vickerman and Ollie Phillips in our Sevens special. We're going to talk more about your career in a moment. We'll find out a bit more about what it's like to live with tins as well. Compare and contrast.
Amazing.
But first of all, on liquid football this week, they broke a new Guinness World Record. Well done to them last night in the live show. And B, on Liquid Football this week, it was the Christmas quiz. And Wes Brown spilled the beans on what happened with Fergie, David Beckham, and that football boot.
Imagine there's Old Trafford training ground. Imagine everybody sitting on the sides. Gaffer walks in from there. He just kicks a boot. He could have hit anyone. I'm not even... I was there. Seriously? He could have hit anyone.
It wasn't aimed at Beckham.
It could have hit anyone. How can the gaffer kick a boot from there to there and it hit Bex on the eye?
He's talented, man. He's talented.
I don't know, he won a canny bit in his career.
Tell you what, he meant he was a fucking good shot. But there's no way you could have meant that. Absolutely no way.
And it got out though, didn't it? Is that...
Yeah, I mean...
that sort of thing, if that happens in the changing room, that should stay in the changing room.
Yeah, it's just, listen, it's one of them. I mean, Bex, there was a bit of blood, stitches... So it's going to get out. He's David Beckham, isn't he? But there's no chance he could have done it on purpose. I'm telling you, we would have struggled, lads.
Yeah.
A boot and then the stud hits you there. Boom.
Yeah, like couldn't hit the soft part, just on the stud. That's crazy.
And out of it all, Bex wasn't looking because his head was down, and that's what made it worse. But there you go.
You're watching the House of Rugby on Joe, together with Guinness.
So that is Liquid Football with Kelly Cates, available every Monday for you. Don't forget our boxing show. TKO returns this week as Chris Lloyd and Carl Frampton reflect on Carl's win in Vegas on Saturday. Did you watch?
I didn't. No.
Good win, though, on points.
Well done to this week.
Yeah. It is indeed. We were talking about that, actually. Josh was stripped down a bit. Are you going?
No.
Were you invited?
I was invited, but I'm not
Just
going.
the old network
Classic.
working for you again.
Unbelievable.
No, I would love to
Is
go.
your Rolodex amongst the most significant in sport?
Nowhere near as good as Tins's. I mean,
That is true. He has got a slight head start and a sort of advantage, though.
what an unbelievable Rolodex that man must have.
Yeah.
But, you know,
Imagine you together. So 2009 again, he had filofaxes full of business cards.
Filofax.
Filofaxes.
What
There's
happened
three
to
of
the
them.
good
the
standard
problem was because we
Filofax?
set the precedent of Dubai jumping off of boats, and then Harley Davidson owners group in Wellington. It was a real pressure to like, oh my god, we need to keep topping this at every away trip. So you had to get into the old. Get the Rolodex spinning around, seeing what magic you could make.
What's the most impressive card in your Rolodex other than Tins?
Well, I don't know, but they'd
Go on,
be
name
like,
drop.
No.
Clan.
What? As in, I don't know.
Duncan.
Yeah, but you're thinking like celebrity-wise, aren't
We
you?
can go where we like. Who could you reach at the touch of a button?
FaceTime challenge.
No, I don't know.
We could do that. You
Who
could have
could
some.
we reach? What?
Emirati.
But you mean from a celebrity perspective?
No, I just mean just throw one out there.
Oh, the main people are probably like big like corporate entities that could like help us out. Yeah, so bore off kind of thing. Yeah.
No, it was
But they're the
ones that
Michelle
help.
Moan.
Yeah, that was a good one. Yeah, Michelle Moan.
She was.
Yeah.
What was she? She was not Gossard. She was
But Bravissimo. What it was.
Optimo.
Oh, yes.
Ultimo.
Ultimo.
Very good. I know my lingerie.
How do you know your lingerie so well?
Every Friday. Pop on a new set.
Weekend's
At
coming.
the weekend, you can call me Pamela.
Hello there. Hello, Mrs. Payne.
Yeah.
Look how happy you two are. Honestly, it's just such
We
a
could
little
take the show to some very weird directions.
Yeah, we can. Yeah.
Go on. You've got quite. You hobnob with Carter, and what did you do with Dan Carter?
Oh, this is one of my favourite stuff. So, Haskell and I were living in Paris and playing at Stade, and we had Racing on the weekend, so big local derby.
Yeah.
But the All Blacks had just finished their autumn series, and they were sponsored by Adidas, so they were all in town on the Thursday night, and we'd been invited. I was sponsored by Adidas, so was Hask at the time, and so was Stade, to go for dinner.
Yeah.
So we went for dinner with them just off the Champs-Elysees, and there was Graham Henry, Whitelock, Muls Munaina, McCaw, Dan Carter, and Conrad Smith. They
Yeah.
were the sort of six that were
And
there.
you and Hask.
And me and Hask, right?
Having invited yourself again, or definitely been invited?
No, I've been invited this
Definitely
time.
been invited.
But I would have
Good, yeah.
invited myself
Yeah.
either way if Hask was
Two
going
competition
the same.
winners, yeah, and the All
if Hask
Blacks.
was going the same. Anyway, did dinner and whatever else. They were obviously well up for a sort of big night out or whatever because their season was finished. We were like, well, look, we're playing Racing on the weekend, can't really drink, can't do this. We'll smoke bomb out of here about 10:30, get home. And just was about to leave. Dan Carter was like, look, stay. Seriously, stay. So I was like, all right. Like, why? What's going to happen? He's like, it's just worth staying. And then within 20 minutes of him saying that, outside the front of our restaurant where we were on the Champs-Elysees, the first ever of its kind amphibious boat by Sea-Doo turned up, which happened to be a sponsor of the All Blacks, right? Pulled up in front of our restaurant. And he was like, come on, we're getting on. I was like, we're talking. Mills Marina had a T-shirt. Bear in mind, it's the middle of December. So we go onto this boat. This boat raises up onto wheels and drives up the Champs-Elysees. And as we're driving up, all these cars are stacked up behind us. Only drives like 5 miles an hour. So we get up to the Champs-Elysees. We go round the Arc de Triomphe. And the bloke who owns or founded Sea-Doo owned a hotel just off the Champs-Elysees. So we drove down into the reception foyer of this hotel, into the middle. The boat parks down. We get off, and it's got its own private cinema. So we walk into this private cinema, and they screen the advert that the All Blacks have made of this Sea-Doo.
Yeah.
Right? So Hask and I are in there watching this. We're sort of, obviously, Hask in his understated ways going like, boo, boo, all the way through it. Rubbish. All this sort of stuff. I was like, Hask, we are a guest here. Anyway, we finish, and they pop what's called a Churchill, which there's only 6 of them in existence, these Churchill bottles of champagne. And they pop one of them for the All Blacks. So Hask and I, at 1:45 by this point,
Why not?
with a amphibious boat in this, having just watched a private screening of the All Blacks, stood with Graham Henry having one of only 6 bottles of Churchill champagne or something in the world, sipping away before we played Racing Metro. But
open with a sword.
Open with a sword. Open with the what is it called, the Sabre Cup? Yeah, mate. Some amazing, ridiculous stories in Paris. I mean, one of my favorites. It's not my ultimate favourite. I can share later, but that was one of my favourite stories of all time.
Incredible. How on earth you end up in these situations is an
you
absolute
would not
wonder.
believe how often it is. That's the thing with him.
You got to be in it to win it.
Can I share one? It's really
the floor is yours.
It's really personal. So, I just got married in August. Right,
congratulations.
Thank you very much to my delightful wife Lucy. And I was in Paris in 2009, and Pierre Rabadan at the time was going out. One of our back rows was going out with a Bond girl. On the Bond girls.
Not allowed to call them Bond girls anymore, as I heard on the news this morning. They're now a Bond assistant.
Okay, she was the world. Well, she wasn't one of Bond's assistant, but she
was a Bond
she
girl.
became a Bond
This
assistant.
show, I think, will stick with Bond girl.
Bond,
if that's all right.
Bond girl, Bond assistant.
Yeah,
she was the one in Casino Royale that ended up in the hammock, sort of dead. She rode the horse, if you like, when he stole.
Oh yes.
Anyway, so she was sponsored by Dolce & Gabbana, and they were having a fashion party on just off the Place de la Concorde, and they had a spare seat. So Pierre was like, "Look, do you want to come along?" This is December. I joined the club in June. I was like, "Yeah, sure, definitely. Like fashion party, come along."
Look at me,
Paris.
haute couture.
Haute couture, right? So turned up, and there was Stefano Dolce and his partner there, Pierre and his girlfriend, and then all these other. I knew nothing about, as you can tell, I know nothing about fashion, right?
Straight out of M&S.
So I knew nothing about these people that were around the table, right? But there was all these fashionistas around the table, and so I was sat next to a lady called Dita Von Teese.
We know
who's
Dita.
a sort of burlesque dancer, right?
Did she do Moulin Rouge?
She was in a massive martini glass.
I've been to her shows subsequently. I took my mum to one of her shows. She said, "Oh, come on to one of my shows." I think, yeah, great. So I took my mum. Thought, "Mum, come to the show."
You were friends with Dita Von Teese?
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. That's a good one. Anyway, so I go to this fashion party, and we're sat around the table. You've got Kate Moss's agent, who's a legend called Will Ferrell. Dita Von Teese.
Not the Will Ferrell. That would be a hell of a combination.
Not the Will Ferrell, no. Dita Von Teese, Stefano Dolce and Gabbana, and opposite is this guy with glasses on and this white glove. And I'm like, "Well, mate, what's the deal with the..." It's December, right? 9 o'clock at night, yeah? This guy called Karl Lagerfeld, who sat with me, right? So I was like, I didn't know anything about this bloke. I didn't know who he was, but I just was sort of getting stuck into him. And then next to him was this other guy who makes shoes called Christian Louboutin, right? So we're all sat around this table, right, and me.
This guy.
And I don't know who any of this is. And they come up to me and say, "Look, you've got to buy this raffle ticket. You've got to buy a raffle ticket, €100. And I was still like in my Newcastle type mode at that point. So I was like, €100? What the hell am I buying? What am I buying? And they're like, "Don't worry, you're guaranteed to win." So I was like, "Well, it's not a raffle then, is it? It's just €100. I'm winning something." So I bought my ticket. Up comes my prize at the end of it. And it's a pair of shoes from Christian Louboutin. These gold. To be fair, I opened the box. They're beautiful. They're women's, size 6.
They fit
with this little pouch, this clutch bag or something like that match. And I was like, "What do I want these things for?" I don't know what they are. So anyway, sure enough, we're all sat around the tent and sat around the table. Everyone's having a good time. So I thought, I'll put these shoes on, get home, go to Haskell. Said, "Mate, I've been to this bloody dinner. I don't know, like all these stupid fashionistas. I've won these bloody daft shoes," and I'd thrown them in the bin. He's like, whoa, don't chuck them away. They've shown what they are. I was like, "Christian Louboutin, like red soled or something like that." And he said, "Mate, I'll show you." So he looked up and these shoes were $3,000, right? And I was like, Jesus Christ. I was like, "Let's take them out, sell them." Now, I am like a hopeless romantic.
Yeah.
So I was going to sell them. And I thought, no, I'm going to keep these shoes. And the woman that I decide to marry, this shoe will fit.
It's like Cinderella.
Cinderella.
It's like Cinderella.
I swear on my life. Cinderella.
More of the beast.
And I never showed these shoes to anybody since that day, ever. And I told like a couple of girlfriends I had for like a long period of time. I told them this story or whatever, but none of them had ever seen the shoe. Christmas Eve, 2017. We're all my family are all round. I've got all of Lucy's family, all of my family in this house for Christmas Eve. And I get everyone to make an announcement, and I have wrapped this box of shoes. And I say, like, I'd just like to say something like, "Thanks to thanks to Lucy for helping organise this, blah, 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 blah." I said, "Just want to say something." And I put this box in front of her that was wrapped up. And I started reading this poem. And I literally bawled within the first 3 seconds of going like, Lucy, like that. But I managed to get through this poem. One of my nephews decided to let off a firecracker, like a party popper in my face, just to make me feel good about myself. Anyway, she opened this box and she saw the shoe, and she knew like what it was all sort of meant. And as she pulled the shoe out, I knelt down behind her with a ring in my hand and said, like, "Would you marry me?" And I was then, as she pulled the shoe out, I remember thinking, "Shit, I haven't checked like that this actually will fit her foot." So this could be the biggest anticlimax ever, but it fitted like a glove.
Of course it did.
And on our wedding day, she wore them down the aisle.
That is unbelievable.
Yeah. Epic. And that's my favourite story from Paris, from my time at Stade. And it was a little sort of keepsake. Pierre was at our wedding, and it was a little sort of memory check to Paris cool. and to the shoes.
Did you just try the shoe on Dita Von Teese that night, just in case?
Yeah. It didn't fit, so I thought Lucy would do.
Lucy, well done, Lucy.
Well done, Lucy.
Great
Well
story.
done, Lucy. Yeah.
Places and people I did not think we'd be going to on tonight's show: Dita Von Teese, Karl Lagerfeld, and Oliver Phillips.
Yeah, what a combo.
Mate, you're an extraordinary networker.
What a combo.
That is a very good story. World records. We actually mentioned the liquid football.
Yeah, we did that,
What they did 64 headers in a minute. Yeah. 54 headers in a minute.
Bobby Zamora and
Luis Garcia.
Luis Garcia.
You should challenge him on the press-ups. You'd do well on that.
How many could you crack out in a minute?
With that
in your
chest,
pomp. In your pomp. I know.
Don't know.
Piston engine.
We used to do something like that, wasn't it? Like
100.
100. No, yeah, I reckon.
Could you get 100 done in a minute?
Don't know, maybe.
That is a very good effort.
Well, what was the world record?
Well, that's miles more than that.
I don't know, a bit more than that.
Yeah, definitely more than that. I definitely wouldn't
world
be able to get
records. How many have you got?
4.
Well, talk us through them. What are they? Give us the bullet points, and then we'll pick the ones that we want to.
Most northerly game of rugby ever played in history at the North Pole.
The North Pole.
I did a mental health campaign for the largest human mouth about speaking out. So we did 876 people in the shape of a human mouth, and that was a world record for that.
I didn't know that one.
And then we staged 2 of the highest games of rugby ever played in history on Mount Everest. So mixed touch and full contact.
Amazing.
And in theory, there's a 5th. We played the highest game of Twister in history, but I don't really count that.
Is that in the book?
Yeah, but we don't really count that.
Right, okay.
Which is not really
highest game of Scrabble.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Highest game of cards.
Then you just,
when you're up there, you can get a lot of records done in a very short space of time.
It's a waste of time, that one.
Talk us through how you've managed to get into this kind of challenger space.
Yeah, good question. Oh, well, we had the World Cup in 2013, and I'd been struggling like all year with my calf. I just couldn't get it right, and it was a pretty, dour end for me. Like 29. They just pulled the rug out from underneath me, sort of said, "Look, it's all over. You're not going to play anymore." And I missed the World Cup, and I was like, "Oh God!" I didn't really know what to do, and call it serendipity. But that night, I'd invited him along to our Twickenham tournament. But a guy called Sir Robin Knox-Johnson, and he rang me and sort of said, "Look, I've seen you just got injured. We'd been in sort of loose talks about it for ages."
So he's a highly regarded sailor. Is he sailed around the world?
Yeah, first person to ever single-handedly sail around the world.
That's right.
And he found this thing called the Clipper Around the World race. And he said, "Look, do you fancy doing it? We've just signed a deal with Downing Street as part of this thing called the Great Campaign, a legacy piece from 2012 Olympics. And they want somebody to go, like that's British and has done a bit in sport. They could do a bit of PR or whatever around." Everyone else was busy, so they thought, give me a shout. And I said, yeah, awesome. Just, a couple of minor details. I've never sailed before.
Yeah.
I can't really walk that well with my leg.
Sneeze. Keep going.
Yeah. And when does this thing leave? And he said, it leaves in 5 weeks' time. I was like, oh my God. But, yeah, all right, I'm in. So I did 3 weeks back-to-back training, went and then set sail around the world, 11 months, 46,000 miles. And from there, I don't know, I got a bit of a bug for it, if you like. I enjoyed that experience.
But talk us through that experience in comparison to, Wellington and Great Days.
Yeah, very different, very different.
Yeah.
I mean, what made me realise, actually, that experience more than anything else was, rugby was a fairly simple narrative, if you like, in terms of everyone was roughly same marital status, same sex, same age, and you had this unbelievable carrot of, like, you're playing for England.
Yeah.
So it's quite easy to motivate. around that. Went on this Clip Around the World race, and literally anyone can do that race. So we had this amazing lady on there called Jill Sharp, 74 years of age, played 27 years for the London Philharmonic Orchestra as a violinist.
Wow.
And she wanted to do one last thing before she died. I was like, please don't do it on the boat. And then we had another amazing lady whose husband unfortunately had died of cancer. And as part of the race, she'd made him a promise that she would take him and sprinkle his ashes in every one of the 7 oceans of the world.
Wow.
And I was like, you can imagine, we're getting rolled, and you're like, oh God, where's Andy?
Yeah.
Is he all right? Is he all right?
Did he become quite a focal point for the trip?
Well, yeah.
Castaway.
Yeah. You just were like, oh my God, it's Andy.
And when you were getting rolled, I mean, what is that experience like?
Yeah, nerve-wracking. But
did you have points where you thought, I'm not sure we're going to see land again? Or
we got hit by a full tornado, like a twister, came straight over the top, bang, slammed us. Literally, we were flat as this table, no wind whatsoever, and within 3 seconds, it's called a water spout. It was just as we went up from Brisbane to Singapore, it was where basically you've got cool air and the hot temperatures from the sea because it's warmer or whatever. They collide and they just do this spout, and within 3 seconds, we went from bolt upright to boom, smashed. 7 seconds it held us down. People just falling like human pinball. And at the time, I suppose you're like, oh fuck. But once it's gone over, it happens relatively quickly. It feels like an age, obviously, but once it's gone over, you're sort of like, oh wow, let's do that again. Let's do that
some
again.
Do,
yeah, some weren't. Yeah, so you had to be careful about who you was asking to do that again too. But yeah, it was for me, it was a necessary removal because England had said, "Oh, stay and train with us." But rehab with us, but we're not going to give you a contract. And I was thinking, well, I'm just going to sit here and watch my mates go away for 8 months. You're all telling me it's all over Red Rover anyway.
Yeah.
And I thought I had this sort of delusions of grandeur that I could go away, do the race, come back, give my leg a full year's recovery, and then pick
Olympics,
it back up again. Yeah, try and go for the Olympics. Yeah.
Amazing. And then you've done Everest and.
Yeah, that was all for the Wooden Spoon.
All for Wooden Spoon.
Yeah.
You do a lot for Wooden Spoon, actually.
Yeah, so I'm
good on you.
The lead ambassador or whatever now. But I did a bit when we were playing all the way through.
Yeah.
And then off the back of the Clipper race, I think they had real ambitions when the World Cup was going to be in England in 2015 to do something to put the charity, which they recognise as the children's charity of rugby.
Yep.
They wanted to really put it on the map. And so they said, look, we want to go to the North Pole and set Guinness World Record, most northerly rugby game.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, great. Originally, I was going to be the ref.
Yeah.
And then Pat Sanderson pulled out. So
that's right. I remember him doing that.
So it was going to be Pat and Tim, and I was going to be the ref.
Yeah.
And then Pat pulled out, so they said, look, would you be one of the captains now? Yeah. And we got Mearsey to come along.
Good old Mearsey.
Yeah, Mearsey to come along.
And what's next? Have you got another one in the diary?
Not major world record, but we're doing obviously the sad news for two people who I know pretty well. But Tom Smith's recent cancer revelation and Doddy's diagnosis with MND. So we did John O'Groats to Land's End last year for Doddy. Last year for Doddy. And so this following year, 2020, we're going to do Cycle Around the Whole of Ireland to raise money for those two in April.
Amazing.
So that's the next one.
I'm so glad you mentioned Tom, and I want to apologise because we didn't discuss it last week, which we should have done. But firstly, what an unbelievable man and player, an extraordinary sort of powerful interview that he did with Ellie Oldroyd on Radio 5 Live, I think it was. But you've spoken to him recently, haven't you?
Yeah. So he and I bizarrely became friends after playing career, but he's obviously nervous. He's scared about the whole thing, but I think he's scared obviously for his own welfare. He's scared for his family. Yeah, he's got kids, a wife. They all live in France now, and I hope, touch wood, that no one or any of the listeners ever have to go through that experience. But finding out that you've got a sore stomach and a bit of pain, and you go for a diagnosis and you've got stage 4 colon cancer is that's now spread to your brain and your lungs is pretty daunting. But he's He's pretty positive and pretty buoyant, and he's attacking it head on. So
he has said he's going to absolutely go for it and fight it and give it everything.
And I think everyone's going to do that with him.
Absolutely. And obviously, from all of us on House of Rugby, we wish him the very, very best, and sending love and hugs to an unbelievable player, an unbelievable man, and hopefully there is, a happy ending to come to what is a very tough time for Tom. So love and hugs to him. Should we fire into our Guinness Perfect Pour? Have you finished your 15?
Yeah, I've done it.
In honour of
Vix
the fact we haven't even. I tell you before we do that.
Got some yours,
compare and contrast Tins as a housemate, because you actually lived in Tins's house as opposed to renting alongside.
I lived with him. Yeah,
I remember Charlie Sale calling you out in his Sidebar of Shame column on the Mail. Do you remember that?
The Mail and the Telegraph.
Saying that the house guest that wouldn't leave, which, as we touched on earlier, is perhaps quite appropriate.
Yeah.
How do you compare Mike and Zara with Hask as going through the keyhole?
Can you even compare? I mean, Zed is a total hero, and bear in mind that, to contextualise what happened, obviously the stuff had happened in the World Cup where Tins hadn't sort of showered himself in glory, and he'd sort of said, "I'll come live with us."
Sent for you as the nanny to.
Well, it's like you, me, and Dupree, if you like.
Yeah.
So, and she was just. I'd met them a long, long time ago, on holiday, bizarrely, and she was just a hero and said, "Look, come in, live with us." And
did you have the East Wing or the?
Yeah, it was amazing.
Separate drive
in the centre of Cheltenham. There's some totally different. Obviously, an amazing experience. I didn't really know what to expect.
Yeah.
But. A great story. One great story on that one. Every year, obviously, Cheltenham Races comes into Cheltenham, a big fixture in the Tindall household and the sort of Gloucestershire house calendar.
Set.
Anyway. Set. And we were going to drive, and I was fortunate enough at that point, I'd been sponsored by Range Rover in France, so I still had my French Range Rover with French plates on this car, and I was driving us to Cheltenham, myself and Zara. I can't remember where Tins was, but he wasn't with us in the car. And so we're driving to get into Cheltenham, and there's a big long queue to get in. And I could see in the back mirror that there was some sort of police flashing blue lights,
blues and twos, and
obviously the opposite side of the lane had been blocked off now. So we're going that way, traffic's coming that way. It'd been blocked for some reason, and Princess Anne was coming up in convoy with a police escort either side of her with the blue flashing lights to get into thingy. So as they go past, Sarah's like, "Pull out, follow them, pull out, follow them." So I was like, what? She's like, follow them. So I was like, all right. So I pulled out in my Range Rover, and I'm zooming up behind all this traffic passing on my left-hand side, behind this police escort. And suddenly it's dawned on me, of like, they have no clue who I am. No clue whatsoever. I'm a Range Rover, zooming up behind with French plates across the front of it. All I was waiting to see was this like red dot coming through.
All four tyres out the top.
Just gone. Ollie's just been sniped. So I was like, Zed, you need to do something. So then, the irony of it all, she winds down the window. She's leaning outside the window, like waving like this to sort of let them know that it's her. And it's not just some lunatic that's chasing after her mum. Because I could see that the police the police bikes had started to slow to try and basically drive me back.
Yeah.
To keep me away from the car. And I'm like, God, like
my heart getting taken out,
booming like this, and we just
straight into number one car park.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
Yeah. And then got my hands properly wrapped.
Did you
for doing it? Yeah.
That's a great metaphor for your life, though.
Yeah, I didn't have the courage, so
I was told.
Yeah, some stuff to do.
I'm just thinking more like highbrow, more nudity or less than Haskell.
A lot less.
Yeah.
Probably more from me than anyone else, but yeah.
Good God.
Yeah, real shame.
What an extraordinary roller coaster you ride.
That was brilliant. Absolutely
happy
amazing.
days.
I did love living with them. They were great fun people to live with.
I won't ask you to pick, but what we are going to do for our Guinness Perfect Pour, because in honour of the fact you live with Mike and James, we would like you to list 15 players you would most like to move in with for all sorts of different reasons. Great housemates, cleanliness, cooking, social secretaries, people who keep a nice place, good interiors, don't leave clothes around, or plates unwashed. 1 to 15, you've got 119.5 seconds. We're tight for time, so we're going to fly through it.
You go first.
Well, I've gone straight away. Social sec, number 15. Alex Good, got to be. Most of these teams I do, he features. So almost like a bit of a common theme going in.
Yeah, I like
so he's straight off the bat. I've gone for a little bit more of practicality in the middle. Marcel Garvey, the winger, because he just sleeps all day. But then Elliot Daly as the barista.
Strong. That is a good choice.
Yeah.
Good choice.
Yeah, fault a little bit. Owen Farrell, because he probably owns the house.
Nice.
So worth keeping on the side.
I see what you've done there. Yeah, it's probably the close. I like that.
it.
Brian Urbana, just because of ambassadorial roles, you'd be kitted out with Range Rovers, you'd have your bank sorted, you'd probably got different types of deals on the go as well.
Good.
I've struggled a bit at halfback, so I'll have to lean on you for that one.
Right.
I know Johnny's probably one that features in yours.
Tidy.
Because he's going to be very tidy.
Keep him under the stairs.
You're probably not going to see him. Then, again, forwards. I mean, who wants to live with front rowers? I've done it before. It's not pleasant.
Yeah.
Ran out of toilet roll one year with a front rower. He got to letter N of the Yellow Pages. That's what happens. It's crazy.
That is.
So
I can't imagine there's not a purchase power on the Yellow Pages.
No, this is just horrible human being.
Yeah.
Sharp Brits is the hooker because he's just going to wake up smiley. You want him around
Every day, yeah.
Great morale.
Mark Lambert, RPA chairman at the moment, he'd just be admin. Like, Mark, just sort out the admin.
Bills.
Sort the bills.
Grills.
That's
Sort out
what
all the bills.
doing.
Yeah, of course. Great
Stuart
shout.
Hooper,
Yep.
master chef level of cooking.
Is that right?
He is phenomenal cook. Skirting through it again, Tom Wood, handyman.
Yeah.
Delalio for the hookups, socially again.
Yeah.
And get this, Marley Packer, open side.
Plumbing. Very good.
Very
Very good
choice.
indeed.
So I've got a few gaps that you can
But you've
fill
done
in.
very well.
Well, I picked Vix. I picked Phil Vickery because he obviously won MasterChef.
Even better.
So that was a prop in there. I did Andy Hazel as a back row that I'd have in.
Yeah.
Because he was like literally the technology
Tech
guru.
guru. Everything with
you would
flash
have every
works.
Sonos system linked up to the max.
I like that. Go through 1 to 15. What have you gone with?
Okay, I went Vix. I either had Carl Heyman or Phil Vickery, so I'll go Vix. I did Phil Greening, just because
Great tall tales.
Yeah, very, very good.
Great tall tales.
Storytelling would be brilliant.
Yeah.
So there's a mix between him or Luke Cowan-Dickey for a sort of more up to date
She
one.
could do
Little around the
security.
fringes.
I mean, big Jace. Jason Leonard.
Yeah.
I thought you have to have in there just for a
Rugby royalty.
Rugby royalty.
Can't
in
say
there.
no.
Danny Grucock for security. Anyone breaking in?
Yeah.
They're not leaving anytime soon.
That's well taken.
Yeah. Ali Williams, just for generally
Lols.
Yeah. Just getting a party started. Obviously, the Haskell has got to be at 6.
Yeah.
And Hazy at 7. And then I was really torn as my 8 because I thought, do you go again? Rugby royalty, Zinzan Brook, the Lol. Because literally, if you want to do anything,
keep the party going,
keep the party going, or Sergio Parise, just the greatest person, human being.
Oh, well
in
played.
the
Is that
planet.
right?
Yeah,
Great to
just
look at as
amazing.
well.
Yeah, great. So every morning, wake up.
Yeah,
you just
sun is shining.
Well,
In
you feel
Sergio Land.
inferior every morning.
Yeah.
And 9, Brian Redpath, just the most energetic human person.
Yeah, and that's coming from you.
Yeah, amazing.
Crikey.
Yeah.
Love that.
Brilliant. Well, I had 3 people at 10. I had Wilco, but he'd just be tidy. Cipriani, because something could be interesting going on there. But I fixed on Carlos Spencer.
King Carlos.
King Carlos, just because he's just an all-round... Mine's probably a bit more social. Tom Evans was on one wing.
You'd be like the pilot fish, wouldn't
Of course,
you? You'd be like the pilot fish
Just
along
be waiting in the slips
exactly.
all day long for Tom Evans.
Anything's nicked.
Just see what comes.
Nicole
You'd be
might
there.
be popping around a fair bit.
Yeah, let's see if Nicole Scherzinger turns up.
Yeah.
Jamie Roberts was at 12. Him.
Doc.
Yeah, well, I had him or Tins. Obviously, Tins was an obvious choice.
Yeah.
But I thought the doc could be there just for any medical emergencies from some
Which
of the
about to be
party.
going on with Ali Williams and,
and the
other
lot.
members of the team.
And then I had Will Carling because I just want to ask him the all-time story that everyone wants to know. Yeah, of course you do. And then my wingers were either Christophe Dominici, because that man is literally an icon, a god in France.
Very close to Max.
Very, very close to Max.
Very close to Max.
Sometimes too close to Max.
Right.
Works underneath him, did he?
Yeah, enjoyed that. And or Rapini Thaufau because
Man.
I love that guy as a player.
Yeah. And now got a taxi company.
Really?
Yeah.
The Bullet.
The Bullet.
Bullet Bullet.
Did the
Bullet
feature.
Bullet.
Yeah,
So get you to and from.
And then fullback Matt Burke, just the
What
most
a ledge.
exquisite dressed person I've ever met. His wardrobe is on point. That man, he used to turn up for
chinos,
training.
isn't it?
Bear in mind, Newcastle, nobody really made that much of an effort. He'd turn up, tracksuit bottoms, a t-shirt. He would come full threads, ironed, pristine shirt, little scarf number, just for training. I mean,
I saw him on the touchline in Japan, working for Channel 9.
Yeah.
Because he's now a TV presenter as well as pundit. Does news, isn't he?
Yeah, does the news, yeah.
What an amazing bloke.
Yeah.
He must have been the godfather of Newcastle when you were...
I reckon he's the greatest player I've ever had
What
the
a
privilege of playing with or seeing. Just
lovely man.
amazing, yeah.
Lovely guy. And we finished in 119 and a half seconds.
Was that?
Give or take.
Yeah.
There is so much other stuff that we haven't spoken about. Well, I'd love you to come back. Actually, it'd be good fun to have you back with Hask as well, because the two of you can then rip into each other.
Definitely tear into each other.
Sevens buddies to Stade buddies, and then Tins as well.
Tins can tell you how much of a disastrous housemate I was.
Yes, I can
Be a
imagine.
trio of whistles, you three.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can I just say, but you know when a bus stops and it goes,
I do that a lot, though.
Why do you do that?
I don't know.
It's got the beatbox there, but
Just the nose, isn't it?
It's. Do you know what I mean? It's
just
like a
a release
lorry,
of pressure.
an articulated lorry. When it.
Just a small one.
What is
That's
it?
what I normally get.
What is it?
I think it's. I don't know.
What is it with this show and breathing? Why can no one just not breathe normally?
Must be just an airway. Maybe it's living with Haskell and Tins. That's
Stress.
the reason. I get serious stress.
We want to have you back to talk about Ben Ryan and Rob Baxter. You've got a good story there.
You told that story.
For next time. For next time.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, for next story.
That is it for this week. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening to The House of Rugby. Don't forget you can download and watch some of Joe's other programmes, Liquid Football with Kelly Cates and TKO with Carl Frampton this Thursday. Thank you, guys. Really entertaining tour.
Well, I hope
God,
so.
I don't know
Pleasure.
how you do
Thanks
it.
for
I
having me
don't
on.
know how you do it.
It was great fun.
The energy levels are
the
exploding.
middle
The
class
Rolodex.
episode ever.
Vic, I love how you told that Ben Ryan story as well.
Good.
Cheeky.
One of our other favourite House of Rugby guests returns next week as we welcome back Mr. Rugby X himself. Ben Ryan is back next week.
Oh, I should
Will you
have
load
told
us
the
up?
story.
No,
Yeah,
well,
I will load it up. I'll load you up
the
with
story
it.
and we'll go with it next
Okay.
week with Ben. Can you very quickly tell us the Rob Baxter Ben Ryan story? You pretended to be Rob Baxter.
Yeah. Pretended to be. So that Hong Kong game, we just messed up the Hong Kong match and he was pretty stressed about it all. And then to make matters worse, he'd had a call from Leeds where he was and Bigsy were saying that they had to go back.
Right.
He was pulling them and they had to go back. So he's already stressed. He's like, we've messed up this tournament and I've lost two of my key players.
Yeah.
So I then pretended to be Rob Baxter because we had Crackers, Kev Barrett and Josh Drownanui in our squad who were all at extra at the time. So I rang him, private number, and pretended to be Rob Baxter. I was like, all right there, Ben, this is Rob Baxter here. And he was like,
no cliche at all
and
in the
like,
voice.
He was like, oh, hi, Rob. Oh, hi. Everything okay? Everything okay? He's like, yeah, Ben, I just give you a ring because I like to be calling back Chris, Kev, and Josh. You know, that Josh lad on the wing. I like him back next week immediately, please. He can't be going away no more with that sevens malarkey. Anyway, we had a team meeting and he's like, and Ben just like, oh my God, no, you can't. Look, I know my rights and they're coming home, all right? They're coming home. And I put the phone down on him. We had a team meeting and we all sat in the middle of the room and I was hid behind the sofa and Banj, when he gets stressed, he goes super red.
Right.
So he's walked in, he's massively red, and he's running around, dashing around, and everyone sat there and he was like, where's Ollie? Where is he? Why is he not in the room? Where's he in the room? And I was like, I think he's on the phone to Rob Baxter from the back of the sofa. And all the lads were in on it. And they all pissed themselves laughing.
And he went nuclear.
But I don't think he actually found the funny side of it either. He just relieved, but he didn't even laugh. He was just like, you know, dick, basically.
Rugby players and their phones.
Yeah.
What is it? We're going to let you decompress. Got one more for the road. Time for the lorry to move on. Yeah. Ollie, lovely to have you. Rob, thank you for coming in as always. See you again very soon. That is it for this week. Have a cracker. And we'll be back next Wednesday in your earballs and on your YouTube channels. See you then.
You've been watching The House of Rugby on Joe, together with Guinness. Drink responsibly. Visit drinkaware.co.uk for the facts.